Greetings, everyone, and welcome. It is March the 14th, afternoon here on the East Coast, late at night in Ukraine and Russia. And by the way, today is my wife's birthday. So if you do not mind in the comments later, you can just say happy birthday. Her name is Holly. We would deeply appreciate it. And any other comments you have on the video, because I'm telling you right now, I want to try to give you the best overview as we head into this weekend. And the thumbnail says it all. It is not possible to trust Putin. Zelenskyy has said it multiple times. Many leaders of the world have said it multiple times. Those that are in the know have said it multiple times. But unfortunately, Mark Rutte, Donald Trump, other world leaders are starting to look like they want to trust Putin in the future. And this is a disaster when we are on the very precipice of talking about a truce deal. So I've got some video for you in this update that for me is quite disturbing. So Zelenskyy once again saying, hey, we've done our part, but don't you dare think that you can trust Vladimir Putin at all. Rutte, the Secretary General of NATO, was meeting with Trump. Now it's coming out that, of course, we've already known this, but now it's being stated openly and publicly that Trump rules out Ukraine's NATO membership, says the NATO chief. But this is only a part of the problem. You see, there must be a resolve to win, to destroy Putin. There must be a resolve to win, to defeat the enemy. You cannot just talk and speculate about the future and we can have future relations with them. This is an evil dictator that is decimating Ukraine. And if you're wondering right now, oh, well, are they talking about truces? Is it quiet in Ukraine? No, this is the error alarm right now. Shaheeds are flying all throughout Ukraine. Kryvyi Rih has been hit again with ballistic missiles. Russia is pushing on the Sumy Oblast. Ukrainians are still holding in Kursk. We'll talk about that in just a moment. This war is raging on this almost 2,000 long kilometer front line. Nothing is changing. It is nonstop, brutal warfare. The problem being is Zelenskyy is telling the truth and nobody is listening. It's not possible to trust Putin. There must be a resolve to come to a just and lasting peace. And if you do not have it, then I question the very ones that are working towards this. Mark Rutte, I appreciate what you've done, but this statement I'm getting ready to play disturbs me. Additionally, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, Witskoff, all these guys coming out with, well, we're cautiously optimistic. Well, we'll get to that in a second. First of all, you tell me what you think about this statement from Rutte.
Before you were Secretary General of NATO, you ran a European country. Would you be willing to do business again with Russia after this? Because we are hearing reports of things like maybe gas deals come back into play.
Well, I mean, I'm not there because, first of all, you have to maintain the pressure on the Russians to make sure that they do whatever is necessary. That's why we have the sanctions, and let's not be naive about the Russians. But longer term, Russia is there. I mean, Russia will not go away. And I've had many dealings with President Putin till 2014. In my first 4 years as Prime Minister, we had many negotiations. And I think it is normal if the war would have stopped for Europe to somehow, step by step, and also for the US, step by step, to restore normal relations with the Russians. But we are absolutely not there yet. We have to maintain the pressure on them to make sure that they are willing to engage seriously in talks with the American administration and, of course, also with the Ukrainians.
Okay, so I get it. We're not there yet, but even that rhetoric, this is what you must understand, and this is what Zelenskyy tries to communicate. Once you show your playing cards, Rutte, you just showed all of our cards. Oh, yeah, well, Russia's going to be there regardless. Well, what about Ukraine that we're fighting for and defending? What about Ukraine that the world is standing up for, or so we thought? You're already talking about normalizing relationships with Russia in the future because they're going to be there. No, they need to be defeated and gone and a transitioned and changed nation, and not even a nation that looks like the one that is standing there today, waging this hellish war on Ukraine and many other places around the world. This is why I'm deeply concerned, and it's why Zelenskyy continues to say it is not possible. He will lie to you. Do not believe anything that Vladimir Putin says. Now let's take it a step further. Trump on the truce. We know that Rubio has made statements. We're cautiously optimistic. Witskoff came back. Let me tell you some facts about that. First of all, Trump has not had a personal conversation with Vladimir Putin, period. Secondly, just so you know, Trump They were talking about the meeting with Witkoff late in the night and how great it was and all this. But let me tell you what really happened. Vladimir Putin spent a majority of his day meeting with Lukashenko and doing all of his other meetings, and he made Witkoff and that team wait for 8 hours to meet with him. It's just how they do things. Trump making some statements. I think he's going to agree. He's getting ready to be asked, and you'll see the video. Well, what will happen if he doesn't agree? I think he will agree. Oh, what about the 24-hour thing? Well, I was being sarcastic on that. Sarcastic about a nation that is being wiped off the planet. That is a problem. And what you do when you make statements like that, you are playing right into Vladimir Putin's hands, because if that statement didn't mean anything, then your next statements about what you're going to do, well, he better agree to this or it's going to be hellish on Russia. Do you think they're going to believe that? No. So nobody's going to believe Putin and nobody's going to believe Trump. But what are we? We are cautiously optimistic. And then you throw Rutte and his statements on top of it that, in the future, of course, Russia will still be there. This is where we're at coming into this weekend, and it's a little bit crazy as these truce talks are going on. We know where Ukraine stands. This is Trump. Here it is.
Are you speaking to Putin in the last days or hours personally?
Well, I don't want to say it, but we are dealing with him, and
no, he has not.
I think it's going reasonably well. It's a very complex situation. It's a bloody, terrible war. And I do think it's going well. As you know, we have a ceasefire agreement with the Ukrainian group, and we are trying to get that with Russia too. And I think thus far it's gone okay. We'll know a little bit more on Monday, and that'll be hopefully good.
I'm not understating the complexity of all this, but as a candidate, you said you would have this war settled in 24 hours.
Well, I was being a little bit sarcastic when I said that. What I really mean is I'd like to get it settled, and I think I'll be successful.
What's the plan if Putin doesn't agree to a ceasefire?
Bad news for this world, because so many people are dying. But I think he's going to agree. I really do. I think I know him pretty well, and I think he's going to agree.
Complex issues. Oh, yeah, I was sarcastic on that. What about if he doesn't agree? What did he say? Bad news for this world. No, it should have been bad news for Russia. It's going to be bad news for, I guess, my friend Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Trump, in these statements, not being that bold, strong leader. I hope so. I think so. What? No, that's not how you deal with Vladimir Putin. And this is how Zelenskyy has been trying to prepare the West, the Americans, on how to deal with Vladimir Putin. And unfortunately, I guess they're not learning the lesson. I will tell you this as well. Trump put out the message that if any Ukrainian soldiers get surrounded in Kursk, which they are not, according to the latest information coming out of Kyiv and the general staff, but if they do become encircled, Trump sent a message, please do not kill them. Please take them as prisoners of war, spare their lives. Well, I can tell you, Putin has replied to Trump. Also, Medvedev has replied to Trump. Putin said that he had read Trump's call to spare Ukrainian soldiers. There is only one way for us to do this, Putin stated. In order to implement Trump's call, Kyiv must give the order to its military in the Kursk region to surrender. That's it. Surrender. Don't fight. Don't walk out. Don't try to drive out. Don't try to escape. Surrender. You see, Trump is saying, well, I hope so, and Rutte is saying, we're going to deal with Russia in the future. They're going to be there anyway. And Putin is making statements like, well, you know what? They have to surrender. There is a difference, and that is why it is not possible to trust Vladimir Putin. It's just not possible, and the world better wake up. Zelenskyy has made some statements today on the truce. We are ready. He reiterates, we believe that our partners have responsibility to ensure that Russia is ready to end the war, meaning pressure from the United States and the European Union, not to look for reasons for it to continue for weeks, months, or years, but to end it. And this is what he said. Putin will not end the war on his own. Fact, President Zelenskyy. but America has enough power to force him to do so. Yes, they do. But the rhetoric, the talk that I'm hearing coming out of Trump, and I know Rutte's not an American, but he's the Secretary General of NATO. That kind of talk is appeasement to Putin. That doesn't work. Zelenskyy also on Putin. He stated Putin cannot lead this war because then he will be left with nothing. Fact number 2. That is why he is doing everything possible to sabotage diplomacy by setting extremely difficult and unacceptable conditions from the very beginning, even before the ceasefire. He then stated, Putin will try to drag everyone into endless discussions. Fact. Just like he did with Minsk, wasting days, weeks, and months on meaningless negotiations while his weapons continue to kill people. And I will show you again, half of Ukraine under air alarm, Shaheeds flying everywhere, and ballistic missiles have been rolling tonight. Every condition that Putin puts forward is just an attempt to block any diplomacy. This is how Russia works. Fact. Zelenskyy dropping facts. Now, here's another fact. Zelenskyy on the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, because we heard Donald Trump himself state, and I think I played it on the video yesterday, well, you know, they've got a lot of power plants over there, and we're going to have to be negotiating on that big power plant, of course, referring to Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, the largest power plant in Europe. Zelenskyy stating today, this is our station, period. Who occupies it right now? The Russian army. Russia occupies it. How are you going to deal with that, Donald Trump, when Putin will tell you that the Zaporizhia Oblast is ours? It's on our books. It's on our constitution. Of course, it's all lies and fake referendums, but this is what will happen. How are you going to even deal with that level of negotiation when right now it seems we're just appeasing Vladimir Putin? Zelenskyy saying this is our station. That is a fact. The ZNPP remains a serious problem for Russia. Therefore, its return to Ukrainian control is only a matter of time and must happen, Zelenskyy said. Without Ukraine, the existence of that station is simply impossible. Zelenskyy, I think, very wisely making a direct statement about the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant the day after Trump spoke about that big power plant. Kudos to you, Zelenskyy. That is how you deal with it. Zelenskyy also making a statement on Kursk. He said the situation is very difficult now. You see, they have not fully left. I can only thank our soldiers for this operation. It accomplished its task. First, the pressure on the Kharkiv direction eased. That would be north up towards Vovchansk. Then they began to withdraw their troops from the eastern direction, meaning down toward Chasiv Yar and Toretsk and Pokrovsk. I think that the situation in the Pokrovsk direction is now more stable as well on the southern line, and it will be very difficult for the Russians to find an opportunity to occupy Pokrovsk in the future. Zelenskyy saying we've had a successful operation there. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where we're at. This is why I'm saying I'm not saying Zelenskyy said it's not possible for you to think that you can trust Vladimir Putin. Don't even go for it. Additionally, just want to say thank you. Thank you for dropping in the comments a happy birthday to my wife. We will be back at you with the latest news, updates, lives. Be ready for everything. And thank you to our team. Thank you to our subscribers, those new people that have jumped on board the Hope Train. We appreciate you. Consider joining our Discord. It's a great place in there. Very positive. And additionally, big thanks to our moderation team. We've got the best team on the planet. You guys be blessed, and we'll be back at you. But this is where we're at. Friday afternoon, March the 14th.